hatuna wenyewe hizi. Pande maskini wa Mungu. Hakuna shida. Pande tu tukafutie kwetu sasa. Mungu atakuona kati yetu.
I had never met her before. But eventually, I did after watching these two videos on social media.
Amekuwa wasi. Inamuma saidia hata jana hatujarara. Hatujarara vile nilifika kwa nyumba. Amelala akiumwa kulia.
Gladys Mwihaki is her name. She is one of thousands of Kenyans weighed down by the medical bills of a relative. A very familiar Kenyan story.
Niko naumwa. Nikaenda Kiambu nikalazwa huko. Nikapimiwa. Nikaambiwa ni kansa. Nienda Kenyatta.
Anyone would dread receiving such news. What Esther did not know was that the journey ahead of her would require more than just emotional and physical strength. Being a Kenyan who had many times had to raise money for a loved one's treatment, I had imagined this struggle many times before. But then Gladys said something that cut to the heart of Kenya's healthcare crisis.
Hii Kenya, hii ni ya matajiri. Maskini kama sisi, hatuna wenyewe.
This is a day like many others in Nairobi, Kenya's capital. Busy, noisy, normal. Living in a city like this, I have seen many weekends like these come and go. But today, it's different for me. I am on my way to meet Gladys in Riruta Satellite, a settlement on the outskirts of Nairobi, where she now lives with her ailing sister. Inside this little room made of iron sheets, Gladys, Esther, and the 5 children they have between them have made a home. If they could talk, these thin walls would have a most painful story to tell. On this day, I found Esther lying in bed, unable to move or sit up. Her pain, she tells me, is now part of her daily life. Esther, a once vibrant young lady, now lived with nothing but pain, sadness, and constant tears in her eyes.
Nisikia niko mgonjwa. Akaachana na mimi. Sijai muona tena. Sijui alienda wapi.
2018. Mwezi wa 10. Ndio tulijulia huko Esther ako na kansa. Kutoka hapo tukauliza tufanye aje, wakaniambia nikuje nimpeleke Kenyatta aanze chemotherapy.
That would be the beginning of what they tell me has been a most painful journey in search of medical treatment.
Yani alienda akiwa emergency, akawekwa maji huko na jubresa ilikuwa juu pale kwa emergency huko Kashot. Alitibiwa hapo. From there akaambiwa wenye walikuwa nao walipe card 700. Ndio atibiwe aone daktari wa gyno. Wakanipigia simu nikamwambia mimi saa hii sitaweza kukuja. Wacha nipikie watu, nyinyi shughulikeni naye. Hawakupata pesa na mimi sikukuwa na kitu.
With 5 children under her care, Gladys couldn't leave home to be with her sister. The neighbors that took Esther to the hospital couldn't afford the money required to get her admitted, and eventually they too had to leave.
Esther alilala huko Kashot, nikamfuata amesukumwa huko. Nikamuuliza kwa nini hukuonekana? Akaniambia mimi sijaonekana, vile niliwachwa hapa, nimelala hapa na ndio hapa niko. Mimi nikaenda kumlipia kadi. Nikapata tena sio 700, ati ni 1950. Wakaniambia kuna vitu zilikuwa zimeandikwa hapo nyuma, sijui groups, sijui na nini, ati hizo nalipi na kuna dawa alipewa huko emergency. Sasa mimi nikabeba mgonjwa wangu nikaenda nikipiga makelele huko kwa barabara, nikilia tu nikimwambia tuende home juu mimi sina la kufanya na sina hiyo pesa. Nilikuwa nimebeba 700, tena nimepata wewe itabidi turudi home tugojee tu Mungu juu mimi sina la kufanya.
Pesa sisi mimi nafanyaga kibarua ya kufua.
Her tears and desperation on this day, Gladys tells me, would eventually get Esther an admission at the hospital. But this took the intervention of a stranger who offered to pay for the required admission fee.
Kama Kenyatta sipati usaidizi, nitapata wapi pengine? Ndio maana nilikuwa naenda mimi kwa ajili nikilia na hata sikujua kimechukuliwa hivi. Vile alienda kwa audi sister yangu, wakasema ana damu ya kutosha ndio aanze matibabu. Aliwekwa damu unit 3. Wakampe ruhusa. Wakasema arudi kwa nyumba, atakuwa akienda clinic. Nirudi naye kwa nyumba. Alikaa 3 weeks huko Kenyatta. Walimpe ruhusa akawekwa room nyingine huko. Wenye hawatibii mahali wanakaa huko Kenyatta. Ukiingia hapo kuna rooms wenye wakipewa ruhusa wanakaa hapo. Alimaliza hapo 1 week. Wiki mbili ndiye alikuwa kwa bed, wiki mbili akakaa pale kwa hiyo room.
Kwa hiyo room alikuwa anapata
hakuna hata penikula, hapana, nilikuwa nampelekea mimi mwenyewe.
Esther would later be discharged and told by her doctors to come back with 20,000 Kenya shillings in order to start chemotherapy. But they couldn't raise that kind of money. When I met her, 7 months had passed since her diagnosis, but she had not started chemotherapy.
Tujarudi hatuna pesa. Katuandikia painkiller hata tujanunua. Tuna pesa.
Painkiller ilikuwa ina pesa ngapi?
13.
Na saizi hakuna madawa ambayo unaweza kukunywa?
Hakuna. Uchungu tu.
Na sasa ukihisi uchungu mingi kabisa unafanya nini?
Naambia ngazi stangu anibaie zile painkiller za 10. Naweza kulala.
Zinakusaidia?
Kidogo tu.
Their struggle is a living contradiction to the words in Kenya's celebrated constitution. Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights directs that every Kenyan citizen has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, including a right to healthcare services. But these are just words to Esther and Gladys.
Wenye wako na pesa unaona wanashughulikiwa huko. Lakini wewe juuna, uko tu pale tu umejikuja. Juuna. Unaachwa tu, yani unawekwa tu mahali juuna pesa.
Nini ambayo inakufanya unasikia umehuzunika sana ukienda hospitali na upati hata uwezo kabisa? Nini inakufanya unasikia umehuzunika?
Juu pesa, juu ningekuwa na pesa ningetengeneza.
Paints a very bad picture for me to the extent that if you're not wealthy, you have no job, you have no parcel of land, you will never, if you go to a hospital, you will only receive painkillers, what we call the placebo effect. In medical terms, when you have a pain, just let's slow down your death, but take this so that you can heal slowly, but wait for your death at home. It's a very sad thing.
A very sad and very Kenyan story. But Kenya's government claimed that it had a solution.
About 100,000 Kenyans every year go below the poverty line because of trying to pay for health from their pockets.
Kenyans will be able to have specialized and high-tech medical tests and therapies in their counties.
By investing in cancer treatment, we shall decentralize the cancer treatment at KNH and Moi Referral Hospital to the selected 94 hospitals countrywide.
That was in February 2015 at the launch of the 38 billion shillings medical leasing project, the Managed Equipment Services.
By implementing this project, it means that those people who've been queuing and not seeing the light of day, they will be able to be treated at the county hospitals countrywide.
With a promise to bring specialized healthcare services closer to the people, the project would see 2 hospitals per county equipped with modern equipment divided into these categories. Lot 1, theatre equipment. Lot 2, theatre and CSSD equipment. Lot 5, renal equipment. Lot 6, ICU equipment. And Lot 7, radiology equipment.
So the idea of having equipment, modern equipment, to assist in medical care is a primary agenda, both in the CBA, signed between the doctors and national government, and part of the larger scheme in terms of improving healthcare in the country, was to have advanced equipment.
Patients who develop complications such as kidney failure, we've been referring them to Eldoret or to Nairobi. Now, the thought behind them, yes, in my understanding, having been part of it, was to bring these services closer to the counties. And indeed, they did because a number of hospitals received equipment that they never had, including our own hospital, Longisa County Referral Hospital.
As the leaders of health in the county, it sounds like an interesting idea because we do need equipment. At least our hospitals did need equipment. And the way that it was presented to us was that there was some private-public partnership that was being organized, and the equipment was to be leased for certain kinds of services.
As promised, equipment was indeed delivered. Now, at least 2 hospitals in most, if not all counties, have modern infrastructure and can deliver services they previously could not.
I have a particular case involving my uncle who used to come to Nairobi in 2013, 2014 for dialysis. Twice a week, each used to cost 7,500 per session. He no longer comes to Nairobi. He goes for his dialysis in Makueni Wote.
Before the equipment was delivered, especially the X-ray, we used to refer all our patients who required ultrasound or X-ray. We used to refer them to the nearest hospitals, that is Kaplong, Kapkatet, Longisa, and also Tenwek. For example, those mothers requiring emergency cesarean sections, referring them again for another 80 kilometers. That means the operation might be done 1 hour to 2 hours later, and that stops being an emergency. So at least here, we are able to, once an emergency is declared, for example, a mother requiring a cesarean section, we are able to do it within the next 10 minutes or so.
The delivery of modern equipment to parts of Kenya that hadn't seen this kind of an investment was a relief to medics across Kenya. But still, something was wrong.
I know that a number of patients have been provided with services from some of the equipment that has been put in place. But if I was looking at it holistically, I think we could have done better. We did need to improve things like dialysis, and yes, we needed the ICU for those kind of patients. But when I look at the kind of healthcare challenges that we were facing, I would have done business differently if I were given the chance.
To understand why there was such discomfort, we need to go back to the beginning. In 2014, Kenya's Ministry of Health reported that it had conducted a healthcare needs assessment across the country. Through this, they would refine the health sector as well as improve quality of services offered to the Kenyan people, especially those in rural areas. At least, that's what they said. The facts tell a completely different story.
I'm not sure whether a needs assessment was done before the delivery of the equipment. But I would say the equipment has partly sorted out the needs for our patients in this area. So the current bed capacity of this hospital is 20. Actually, all the 20 is for maternity cases. But we need to expand this hospital up to a bed capacity of up to 200, so that we are able to handle all the issues. Bearing in mind that these are sub-county hospitals, we serve Sotik sub-county and also neighboring counties, that is Narok and Nyamira. We are currently doing only cesarean sections because of the challenge of inpatient capacity. Yeah, so we are not able to do any other operations like for the other patients.
Actually, most counties only learned from the letters from the minister that we are bringing you 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't remember at any point, if it was not probably at another level, where at my level as a doctor, I was asked what we really think we needed in this county or in this hospital.
The question of need means County X should have been given the opportunity to determine what is the need at that particular county. What is the need in Isiolo is not the need in Makueni, and is also not the need in Makueni now, or Machakos.
We deal with a lot of primary healthcare problems, and yes, of course, we need to have hospitals that work. We're not denying that. But we felt that perhaps if there was a lot more discussion allowed, we would have focused a lot on really fixing the base, the primary healthcare base, and then to see what else would we need to do as service providers to have hospitals that would take care of what cannot be handled at the primary care level.
In terms of healthcare, you would target a county like Nairobi that has a high population. You would target Kiambu that has a very high population. Kakamega with high population, Nakuru, to have possibly more equipment. And a county like Lamu with less equipment or less hospitals to be equipped. But it is uniform. They have done it uniformly.
On paper, the project would ideally offer the national government a sustainable budgeting plan. Through leasing of the medical equipment, they would cut down on huge expenses which they would otherwise incur from buying and equipping the public hospitals across Kenya. But this was yet another broken promise. The modern equipment would end up costing the counties more.
Some facilities which received equipment don't even have power, and probably even don't have power up to now.
But what worries me most is the value for money.
Even in its current form, what exactly are we paying for now? So that we can also explain to the public, because right now it's very difficult to explain to the public what actually we are paying for.
There's just something not right about that.